All right, welcome back to round number 2 here at Modern Mondays at Guardian Games in Portland, Oregon. We're Portland Paper. I'm Travis Cooper hanging out with,
Urchin Collie.
and it looks like we have our matchup ready to go here.
Good luck, man. Good luck.
So, I'm excited. This is a little personal for me. Devin here is playing the Paradoxical Outcome Urza deck that we've been brewing for a while, and he is against my friend Aiden here, who is playing Storm. And so, this is classic Storm. He's gonna play a number of spells, cantrip, Past in Flames, grave shot you for a death. And this Urza deck is aiming to play out a number of small artifacts, bounce them with Paradoxical Outcome, draw a lot of cards, generate mana with Urza, use token makers like Sai to generate additional mana and just power on the board, and then either kill with a lot of power in an Urza construct, or use a grinding station to grind his opponent out. So we're going to see Aiden here dropping down one of those key enablers in Storm. Goblin Electromancer, turn 2, where you want to be.
Amber?
Devin running out of Mox Amber, and a Mishra's Bauble, and an Opal.
Sai, Master Topper.
Okay, Sai on turn 2 here after dropping 2 zeros, not ideal, but Storm not a matchup where you need to block so much.
Okay.
Time to cast Peer Through Depths. I believe that's top 5. Take an instant or sorcery. We're going to grab Gifts Ungiven.
Has been a minute since we've seen just plain old regular Storm be played a lot in Modern, but I feel like when Faithless Leading was still around, we had the Aria Flame go into the Phoenix deck, and now that that's not really a deck anymore, I feel like Storm is perhaps the blue-red spells deck.
Yeah, it's enjoying the abating of the graveyard hate. We've been seeing a lot more of the Twiddle Storm deck over the traditional Storm deck.
I mean, is this turn going to have a lot of
I'm
actions?
not. I would love actually input as to the pros and cons of those two strategies in the situation where we are no longer facing ubiquitous grave hate.
Yeah, I feel like the traditional Storm with your creatures, you're going to be a little bit faster than Twiddle Storm. You can definitely go off on turn 3, but you're weak to removal. So if you're in a metagame where you think there is a lot of removal, maybe Twiddle Storm is better because your mana generator is hexproof.
That's true. Twiddle Storm notably has a higher fizzle rate than traditional Storm, but the removal point is entirely valid because getting these enablers pushed is a way to slow down Storm quite a lot. So we're going to see a Gifts Ungiven cast here by Aiden, and we will see what 4 cards he gets and how Devin decides to handle it. Aiden does not have any mana floating, so one option here is to try to clip Aiden on mana by denying him rituals. Looks like he's grabbed 2 rituals, a Manamorphose, and a Grape Shot.
That's a traditional gifts pile right there.
Okay, we are going to bin the Manamorphose and the Grape Shot. I'm
Storm count,
not sure if I would have done that or gone the opposite. He doesn't have any mana this turn, so he can't do it this... Oh, no, he does.
You have 3 red. Yep, 0 blue. Storm count of 5.
I think we just shocked in the Steam Vent to get the blue for the gifts here.
Okay, that's right.
And do we have the Past in Flames in hand?
We've gotta. I imagine you're gonna grab Past in Flames with that gifts if you don't have it. Okay, we're going.
7.
This is a turn 3, I do imagine.
I don't even know how to do this anymore.
This is the point where traditional Storm, if you don't have interaction, it's a detrimental win here. If you grab the correct generate a bunch of mana, there's a Manamorphose that's hanging out in the graveyard. You can recast gifts, and you're going to be able to just Grape Shot for lethal.
Having peeked a little bit of Devin's hand, there is a non-zero chance that both of these decks were looking at a turn 3 kill. Devin may be on a turn 4, but this is just exactly where you want to be with Storm. And I do wonder if Devin had binned the 2 rituals instead, if this would have been a slightly different game, but I'm not positive. But if Aiden hadn't been able to cast Past in Flames,
I have 5 red, 1 blue. Okay.
then this may not be a win this turn. Yeah, he's chaining gifts. I do believe we are done here. It's all over but the scrying.
So we're just gonna be able to double grave shot here.
Yeah, we can double grave shot. We can get to 20. Yep, Storm doing Storm things. Let's take a look at some sideboards. For Aiden, we are looking at, as options, 3 Lightning Bolt, 2 Abrade, 1 Dismember, 2 Pieces of the Puzzle, 1 Echoing Truth, 1 Pyromancer's Ascension, 1 Aria of Flame, 1 Rebuild, 1 Factor Fiction, 2 Empty the Warrens. If you're Aiden and all you've seen is Psy and 3 0-drop artifacts, what are you doing?
I feel like if I'm playing Storm and I don't necessarily know what my opponent's doing, I'm always going to hedge the bets with some number of like Empty the Warrens, not being unsure if my opponent's going to bring in Graveyard Hate. Also, that could be a reason to bring in Aria of Flame as well. And in just unknown matchups, those are fine things to bring in that can just be independently good.
Yeah, subbing out gifts for pieces is another way to get away from your graveyard. It does slow you down, but it is a way to get around Graveyard Hate. You can also half and half it. I've seen Storm players sometimes hedge.
Oh yeah, definitely. But Empty the Warrens, I'm for sure bringing in.
I might bring Dismember here. I don't know if Aiden knows this. He may expect that there's some Urzas involved, but he knows there's a Psy, and so I don't hate Dismember as a choice here, even just for the information he has. Sideboard options for Devin here. 3 Fatal Push, 2 Battle at the Bridge, 1 Disdainful Stroke, 1 Pithing Needle, 1 Grafdigger's Cage, 2 Collective Brutality, a Tezzeret, Agent of Bolus, 2 Unmoored Ego, and 2 Force of Negation.
So we're not really playing the grindy plan, I don't think, here post-board, but I do like the pushes just to be able to slow down Storm from having their big turn with the mana cost reducer. I could see an argument for Unmoored Ego, which is why if I'm Aiden, I like sort of having different win conditions in the deck. What are you citing in this matchup?
I like Brutalities, just to be able to kill enablers, maybe rip a spell from hand as well if you have the card to escalate, but I just don't hate it as additional copies of Fatal Push almost. Well, I guess they don't kill Baral, so maybe not. So maybe just the 3 push. I would definitely bring the Grafdigger's Cage. It's an artifact heavy deck, so bringing in an artifact is pretty much a free roll. And you can just replace a slightly less useful one. So I like Grafdigger's Cage here. I'm not... Unmoored Ego, maybe. You can try to rip Grape Shot and you can see what else he has, but I'm not super high on it. Disdainful Stroke and Counter Past in Flames, so that doesn't quite feel good enough. So I think I maybe just bring in the pushes in the Grafdigger's Cage here and hope that Aiden slows himself down a bit. But I don't know that this matchup is great for Devin.
Going back to Aiden's sideboard, I also would probably bring in copies of Bounce Effect. Bounce Effects, knowing that my opponent is playing Graveyard or artifact-based decks, so a lot of their spells might be something like Damping Sphere or Grafdigger's Cage or who knows what, if all you've seen some artifacts. So.
Yeah. So questions from chat. Does Paradoxical play Tormod's Crypt as a 0-drop? I happen to have insider knowledge on this, and I've been running one. I'm not sure if Devin has it in today, but we've been running one. A lot of the lists that are going around, because there are other lists that have been going around on Twitter where the top end is Paradox Engine and Nexus of Fate, rather than using Grinding Station as your serious payoff card. And those have not been running Crypt.
You're at 18?
But we've got a Pyromancer's Ascension on turn 2 for Aiden, so it looks like he did go with the alternate strategies here. Devin looking at some Force Negations in hand, deciding what he wants to do here. We're going to see a Force Pitch Saheeli Sublime Artificer. So Devin maybe looking at another token maker, or maybe thinks he doesn't need it.
Yeah.
Kraka Vista.
Yeah, Pyromancer's Ascension going all the way back to like 2015 there. I definitely had some like PTSD with that card.
Any chance we get to see some Stoneblade decks? We'll keep an eye around. If we see some Stoneblade decks that are 2-0 next round, we'll try to pick them up. But
yeah, I would actually like to. We haven't gotten a Stoneblade deck on, I think, in a while.
We had some last week.
We had some last week. I was missing an action last week, but we're going to get a hard cast.
Aria of Flame. No, thank you. So this is cutting down on Aiden's route to victory. He, those are 2 alternative win conditions that have not resolved.
We did go down a card for Devon, and if you're playing a deck where you're not going up card advantage, that is a real cost of Force of Negation.
Urza. I am sorry.
Notably, this deck does endeavor to aim to create a lot of card advantage, but Devon not having the start that makes sense. If he can put a lot of artifacts in play and cast a Paradoxical Outcome, we're going to see him draw a lot of cards to compensate for that Force Pitch. But a Mishra's Bauble is not where it's at. Right now, a Paradoxical Outcome is a draw 1, and that's pretty bad. So we're going to take pieces and remand off of pieces of the puzzle. We're going to piece something together, I'm sure.
Yeah, Urza is the one you really wanted to remand. Besides that, when you're playing a lot of 0-drop artifacts, it's kind of a cycler, and we do get a Tormod script.
Yeah, looks like Devon does have the Tormod script today. So, not sure what his last card is.
Float 3.
It's a Paradoxical Outcome.
on these 3.
We're going to draw 3 cards. Looking to recast that Urza.
Draw 3.
Draw 3 cards. Paradoxical Outcome is an instant
Tormod script.
that
Yeah.
allows you to return to your hand. Oh, we're going to replay Urza, get another construct. It allows you to return to your hand any number of non-land, non-token permanents you control and draw a card for each one returned. And what we're seeing here is all those 0-drops getting cast, picked up, drawn a bunch of cards, put back down, large construct.
End your turn. Take a damage.
We had to tap that construct for blue mana to pull this all off, so we are not seeing an attack this turn, but 2, 4, 6, those are 6 6s. Aiden is at 18. If we can see 3 more artifacts, then those are lethal. Oh, sorry. Urza can get in for 1. Let's not forget. So Aiden, if he does nothing else, effectively at 17. We still need to see 3 more artifacts. Spinning off Urza can do work there, but probably not lethal next turn. So we've got pieces of the puzzle. What are we picking up? We see gifts. So yeah, he did hedge, because there is a gift still in there. Rebuild. That's a spicy one.
I like it.
Yeah. I don't know if he has the land to cast it right now. Rebuild an addition from Modern Horizons. Cycles for 2. Instant, 2 and a blue. Return all artifacts. Oh, Echoing Truth is going to take those constructs out of here. We do not have a way to remove the target, so those are gone. But in response, we're just going to see what we can do. Likely to hit something that can't be casted instant speed here, but we could just see Paradoxical Outcome and have a lot of fun. It's a Mox Opal. That's not going to work. All right, construct's gone. Still have the crypt available. Astrolabe draw.
Been a battle of sideboard cards here.
Yep.
So you're at... I'm at 12 right now. Okay, and you took 1 for casting the truth, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Aiden not flush with win conditions, and Tormod's Crypt a really big problem if he wants to employ a Past in Flame strategy. What do we got?
Urza?
Another Urza. Let's get another construct.
Guess who's back? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, spin.
We're gonna cast a Mind's Desire here, but without Storm. Only the grape shots have Storm.
And did we need the shuffle there? Or was the deck already randomized?
We didn't need to shuffle. Notably, if you're gonna spin Urza a lot, just...
Land for turn?
All right, this is an Inventor's Fair, which is an interesting pickup. We cannot immediately crack it. Do believe the land has not been played for turn.
I drew the Astrolabe for turn. And I was
Yeah,
like,
the Astrolabe for
your
turn. So the Inventor's Fair is going to gain Devon a life and allow him to tutor.
What are we tutoring up?
It's a great question. Honestly, in his spot, I might get Grinding Station. That's going to allow you to make a lot of mana for every artifact you cast. And that is going to enable you to cast a lot of Mind's Desires off of Urza. It's not a perfect solution, but it can power you out of this situation, and it is tutorable with Inventor's Fair in a way that something like Sai is not. Sleight of hand from Aiden. See what we can pick up. I would not get Grafdigger's Cage here just because you have the Crypt, and I think that's good enough.
Take a damage, go to 11.
All right. We're going to take a damage off that islet.
Okay.
Cast a Serum Visions. What do we see?
Go top bottom. Top bottom.
One up, one down.
Storm's significant at this point. Are we gonna
Storm count.
grape shot that
several.
grape shot? There we go. My words. That Urza, perhaps.
I don't hate it. I think Grape Shotting Urza would be quite good here.
Is it rebuilding time? Or saving it?
We do have a rebuild at play.
Rebuild is an instant though.
It is an instant. Timing is everything. You may want to return those. See, the thing is, all of those artifacts except the Astrolabe are
Go to 19?
0 drops. But I might have rebuilt here because what Devin can do is he can tap them all for mana with Urza, and then if he gets rebuilt, he can just do it again. He just gets more mana. So doing it while they're untapped is actually a net negative.
Yeah, I feel like you might just see how many times he spins and if there's anything relevant and wait till the end of turn, because it would really suck if like Devin drew a Psy and you rebuilt and then you get to play Psy and cast a bunch of 0 drops.
Yeah, but had Aiden done this on his turn, I believe Aiden's down to 4. 2, 4, 6, maybe 5. Oh, he attacked with Urza. He's down to 4. Thing is, if you're Aiden and you do this on your turn, then you force Devin to replay all the 0s and generate 5 mana, rather than if you do it on his turn, he can make 5 mana, bounce 5 mana.
Right, I was saying you should do it at perhaps at the end of Devin's turn, so you don't like allow Devin to have like a Psy if that was a card drawn or something.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I agree with that.
Like as long pretty much Aiden's gonna have to win this next turn no matter what. So if you rebuild at the end of turn, you're gonna force Devin to maybe crack the Tormod's Crypt.
Yeah.
Then perhaps you could still do a Past in Flames route if you have enough cards. I don't know. It's not looking good, but
The only other reason to sequence to time rebuild differently is because then you don't take construct damage. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna win on the beats. We are looking down the barrel of a rebuild. Crack,
18?
Delta, down to 18. I believe he should be at 17.
yeah.
We've seen.
that's
Oh, he
the-
gained a life off of Inventor's Fair.
Oh, there we go.
And I'm not entirely sure we have Aiden's life total correct, but we'll see. What do we got? Izzet?
Spin?
Spin to win. You've
one.
just shuffled your library. Come on.
Or game 2, sorry. Game 2. He did.
I do feel like when you're playing, decks that can,
I will duress your hand.
We did bring the Brutality in.
I might remand that. Just to
I might
cycle.
cast that rebuild. Or remand.
Rebuild.
Either way.
Rebuild.
Actually, he can recast it. I
Yeah.
mean, if you're willing to risk the Crypt, which I think you are because you know he has rebuild and can bounce it anyway, I don't think he wants to remand because it's just going to get resolved again and then you take the rebuild. So
I feel
think
like
you
at
wanna rebuild here.
this point, rebuild it.
Go to 3.
I think Aiden's gonna have to win this next turn,
Yeah.
and just cycling the remand for another card might be worth it. It's a tough call. It's really there's lots of lines that you could take to win on
You're
either
right.
side, and so the judgment call is really
This
tricky.
is very complex. Oh, never mind. Also, we're main phase for Devin, I believe, which
We are.
means that
Our second main. Yeah.
we really don't want to be rebuilding right now. It just gives him a ton of extra mana. This is just so interesting. What do we got?
We got some deep thoughts here.
I mean, what do we got?
Bless you.
Here we go. We're going to
Okay.
take the rebuild.
So I think the question was, do we tap the crypt to cast the Collective Brutality, or do we leave that open for potential Past in Flames?
I like this line. I think.
Oh, well,
Well, okay. Those are some highly relevant spells, Aiden.
Take a Manamorphose.
We're going to take a Manamorphose and try to stop him from storming off
3.
next turn. And
well,
does make a lot of sense, given that those artifacts can come right back down, but it does make you feel pretty bad for tapping that crypt. But I like taking a Manamorphose there to minimize the chances that Aiden's going to be able to find a Past in Flames. Because if he finds a Past in Flames, this is game.
Yep.
Burl.
All right, I feel like we're Manamorphose. See what we draw. What happens?
Yep. But this is 1 redraw instead of 2. What do we got?
2. You have a blue and a red, or whatever mana you want over those.
We're going to float 1 of each, sounds like.
Okay.
Storm count 2. What do we get?
Storm count of 3. Okay.
Oh.
2 reds, or, I mean, the 1 blue.
We're
So you got a blue and 3 red hanging out.
Past in Flames. He found it off the Manamorphose.
Yeah, it could have been the draw for the
It
turn
could have
or
been
the
okay,
Manamorphose.
he had 2
but
looks.
Yeah.
It's more dramatic if you drew it off the Manamorphose, and given that we don't know,
Well,
we just say that. Also, he does have the Islet as another redraw there.
What's that?
Oof. Yeah, this is it.
You're red floating.
It's extremely unlikely for Aiden to lose from this position. He has the Grape Shot in hand. He can flash back Past in Flames to Grape Shot twice. He's got essentially as much mana as he could possibly want.
you can even remand your own Grape Shot at this point.
You can. He did use the remand.
It's
Oh,
ability
he's
cast
got the
Past
Past
in
in Flames. He
Flames,
can
yeah.
Grape Shot, remand, Grape Shot. We have, what, 3 Grape Shots available? we are Storm count 6 to win with a pile of spells and a ton of mana.
I feel like they would say it's rudimentary.
Yeah.
Oh, we're just showing off here.
Flex.
How much blue? 3. Okay.
I'm.
And a 9.
That brutality. Aiden held those spells so well to make that brutality look like the play, because Devin knew he had the rebuild.
Mhm.
What he did not know was Aiden had stacked up the standard Great Shot win all but the Past in Flames. And I'm like a little lucky to find it, but mostly Aiden just,
How much did you? Okay, sure.
I think, held the information that he needed to.
Hey, navigated the situation really well, and then just I feel like when you're in the point where you're going to lose the next turn, you just play to
Has a rip the Past in Flames.
play the best to your out to winning the game, and not get too defeatist, not just cast like the rebuild when there was no reason to, even if
It's
you're
like, I
going
think
to
you
1 life,
could
your life total doesn't matter.
Oh, no,
so,
it doesn't
yeah.
matter at all. No, Aiden definitely took the play to win line, not the play to not lose line, and that paid him off
I didn't
tremendously.
do the math on if you would have. Yeah. So
Devin
you go,
not
like,
holding up the crypt.
crawl, rebuilds.
Maybe you take the attitude of
I guess you just
you're
go
the
for it.
one
You
who
can
has
kind of
the
like,
must answers, and therefore you make him answer and you hold up the crypt as the
I had no idea
you
what
can't
were on, so I
go
was
off
thinking
condition.
engineer,
I'm not sure.
against Grave Hate,
But I think maybe leaving up the crypt did turn out to be better there.
some Urza.
Yeah, I do. It's a tough call, right? Because it looked like your opponent was trying to hide a spell, but also it looks like your opponent's trying to make you tap your crypt at that at that point too.
Yeah, it's a very hard call, and I think Aiden set it up very well. But really well played by both players here, I think.
Yeah, excellent match to watch. And even though
It's like,
neither deck
I'm trying to
is
think of-
particularly interactive, there was a lot of decisions that were being made, and we could really see like the choices between different lines that both players were making. And yeah, that's a great last game, great match. And it looks like we have about 18 minutes left. We
Yeah.
might be able to
Yeah, I'll see if we can grab
round
another
up
match.
another match out there. Yeah.
All right,
so
we'll
we
return
will
in a second.
I don't know. I guess the thinking there was that like the crypt probably never matters, but I guess it matters there even if you rebuild.